Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work, cause my boss is a jerk, and I'm not even that paid. I need a change in my life, cause I don't feel alive, and there's nothing that makes me happy. Hold my beer for a minute, I'm about to quit my job, cash in for a ticket. I'm going on a trip, and I don't plan to visit.
It's 4 in the morning, and I have a bus to catch. The city is still asleep. Riding through the rain, I am on my way to one of the oldest monuments of Buddhism, the Sanchi Stupa. As I walk towards the Sanchi Stupa, after a 5 hours long bus ride, I have finally reached this ancient hill. For more than 2000 years, pilgrims, monks, and kings have walked the same path, climbing to a monument that became one of Buddhism's greatest symbols. Sanchi was chosen by Emperor Asoka in the 3rd century BCE after he embraced Buddhism following the Kalinga War. What began as a simple brick mound has grown, layer by layer, into a timeless complex of stupas, monasteries, and gateways. The Great Stupa of Sanchi is not entered. Its meaning lies in the fact of walking around it. Devotees perform pradakshina, moving clockwise as a form of meditation. The dome itself represents the cosmic mound, a symbol of Buddha's enlightened mind. The stone railing and stairways you see today were added by later dynasties, especially the Shungas and Satavahanas, who expanded Asoka's original structure into the grand monument we know now. At the 4 cardinal points stand monumental gateways called toranas. Built in the 1st century BCE, they are masterpieces of Buddhist art. Every surface is alive with carving, scenes from the Jatak tales, depictions of miracles, processions of elephants, horses, and worshippers. What is striking is the absence of Buddha in the human form. In early Buddhist art, he was never shown directly. Instead, his presence is suggested by the Bodhi tree where he attained enlightenment, by the empty throne, or by the Dharma wheel that symbolize his teachings. Every carving on these gateways carries a message. The elephant symbolizes the Buddha's birth, the lion represents his royal authority, the lotus stands for purity, rising unstained from the mud. These are not just decorations, they are philosophy carved in stone. This is the southern Torana, the first of the 4 gateways built at Sanchi. The southern gateway is the most important for another reason also. From here comes the inspiration for India's national emblem. At the very top, you can see the lion capital, 4 lions standing back to back, supporting the wheel of Dharma. This design was later adopted from the Ashokan pillar at Sarnath, where the Buddha first preached the Dharma, and it lives on today as the state emblem of India. The southern Torana contains 12 Jatak tales on front and back combined. Stories of Buddha's previous lives, elephants, horse riders, and yaksas fill the panels, reminding the pilgrims that Dharma is not abstract philosophy, but a living tradition woven into everyday life. Here at the Eastern Torana, the gateway is filled with scenes from the life of Buddha, including the Great Departure, where his riderless horse symbolizes his renunciation. As you walk around the stupa, you will notice tiny carving scratched into the stone. These are Brahmi inscriptions, the earliest form of the writing in India. They may look simple, but they carry stories more than 2000 years old. Most of them are short, donative record. Name of monks, nuns, merchants, and even ordinary villagers who contributed a railing, a pillar, or just a small portion of stone to the great monument. Through these inscriptions, we can still hear the voices of the people who lived in the time of the Asoka and after, their devotion literally carved in history. Beyond the Great Stupa, the hilltop of the Sanchi is scattered with the remains of monastic quarters. These were the living spaces of the Buddhist monk who resided here for centuries. This was not just a pilgrimage site, but also a living monastery where scriptures were taught, debates were held, and the teachings of the Buddha were preserved and passed on. Near the monastic ruins stand a huge stone bowl carved from a single block of rock. Monks here lived communally, following the discipline of simplicity. Food collected from the alms or offering were placed in this enormous vessel and then distributed equally among the resident monks. Stupa 2 is similar to Stupa 3, but without gateways. It has a railing, four entrances, and a stairway to the top. The carving shows decorations and scenes from Buddha's life. Inside, relics of 10 of Buddha's teachers were discovered by Alexander Cunningham. The dome rises about 2.13 meters above the terrace. At Sanchi, apart from the stupas and monasteries, there are also Hindu and Buddhist temples spread across the hilltop. The most famous is Temple 17, a small but important shrine built in Gupta period. It is one of the earliest surviving examples of classical Indian temple architecture, with a simple flat roof. Among the later structures at Sanchi is Temple 45, built around 10th century CE. At its doorway stands the river goddess Ganga and Yamuna, carved carefully as guardian. Their presence marked the blending of Buddhist and Hindu tradition, showing how Sanchi continues to evolve as a sacred site for many centuries. Just near the stupa complex stands the Sanchi Archaeological Museum, set up by John Marshall in 1919. Many of the original carving and artifacts from the site are preserved here to protect them from the weathering. In the museum, one of the fascinating displays is the collection of the ancient tools used by the craftsmen of the Sanchi. In the museum, I also came across everyday objects from ancient Sanchi: plowing tools, keys, and locks. These simple artifacts remind us that this was not only a religious site but also a living settlement. The plows speak of the farming life that supported the monks, while the keys and locks hint at the storage and security of the monasteries. Small things like these bring us closer to the daily lives of people who lived here nearly 2000 years ago. After exploring the Sachi complex, I hopped on the tuk-tuk for the short ride to the Udayagiri Caves, about 10 kilometers away. The road winds through quiet villages and fields, and as the rain-washed landscape passes by, it feels like a journey back in time. Udayagiri, which means Hill of Sunrise, is one of the most important archaeological sites of the Gupta period, dating back to the early 5th centuries. The very first thing I saw here was the magnificent panel of Lord Vishnu reclining on the cosmic serpent Sheshnag. This image, carved in the 5th century CE, shows Vishnu resting while the universe is created anew. From his navel springs a lotus upon which sits Brahma, the creator god. Around him, gods, sages, and celestial beings gather in devotion. It's not just a religious carving, it's a masterpiece of Gupta art, showing the power and imagination of early Indian stone sculptures. Just a little ahead, a beautiful idol of Vishnu caught my attention. Right beside it, a small temple carved directly into the rock, simple but full of presence. From the look of it, the shrine must have been used not too long ago as a place of worship. At the doorway, two Dwarpals, or guardian figures, stand watch. On the left side of the entrance sits a graceful Ganesha idol, and on the right, an ancient Brahmi inscription carrying the voices of the Gupta period carved in the stone. Standing here, you feel how Udayagiri has been a sacred site for centuries. And then comes the most famous carving of the Udayagiri, the Vara avatar of Vishnu. Here, Vishnu appears as a mighty boar, lifting the earth goddess Bhudevi out of the cosmic ocean with his tusks. Surrounding him are the sages, gods, and celestial beings watching this divine rescue. It's a sight to be seen. The Udayagiri complex was not just dedicated to one deity, it was a royal religious center under the Gupta kings, with multiple gods were worshipped. Here the carving shows goddess Durga, standing powerfully with multiple arms, holding weapons. It is part of Udayagiri cave complex, reflecting the Gupta era devotion to Shakti along with Vishnu. Despite the weathering, the grace and strength of the goddess are still visible. Udayagiri cave also have Shivling shrine, reflecting the religious harmony of Gupta period where Vaishnavism and Shaivism coexisted. The Shivling would have been the central object of the worship for the devotees. As the sun began to set, my time at Udayagiri came to an end. History here feels alive, every carving, every stone, whispering stories from 1500 years. With no time to waste, I rushed to the station, hopped onto a train without even buying a ticket, because another bus was waiting for me. The journey continues, one step, one ride, and one story at a time. This was another chapter in my search for the India's ancient past, and the road ahead promised even more discoveries.